Hi, Chef Tai here. Welcome to my kitchen. Today, I'm going to show you how to trim top sirloin. Right here, you'll see the whole top sirloin. So right here, you can see it is pretty well trimmed. And based on inspection, they have trimmed out the mouthpiece, which is at the bottom side of this sirloin. And then they have also trimmed out the top side where the fat cap is. That is what we typically call as a culotte. We used to carry prime grade culotte. And so that also got trimmed out. So without that trimming of the culotte or pecan is another cut made for it, and a mouth, the price would have been actually cheaper, but this is very much well trimmed out piece. Very little excess trimmings that we're gonna have to do. So I did come out a little bit pricier. However, the quality is a prime grade, so I suppose it will be worth the money. So let's take a look at it and then let me show you how to trim a top sirloin. All right, so as you can see right away, there are some fat caps and a little bit of a sinew that's gonna have to get removed. So just make a small little incision, as you can see. So lift the piece and just peel it out. So I'm actually doing it reverse just so you can see what's going on. Typically it will be facing me and then I'll be pulling the blade on the near side. But here you go. Just try to peel as little meat off of it as possible. And you will see little fat cap. Sometimes you can actually dig it and you can pull it out without using a knife. So right here, just to see where the things are, where is a good incision point is, rather than just hack at it without any discovery inspection on it. So, oops, took a little bit too much there. It's okay. So there's a little flap of a silver skin that goes underneath. All right. There's a seam. On the other side, you see a clear division right here where the seam actually traveled through. So on this case, this is what they typically call the baseball cut. So sometimes when we order the beef from the purveyor, we can actually ask for top sirloin or the baseball seam side. So this will be the baseball seam side. It comes out to be about, I don't know, 2 to 3 inches in width. And those are really good to actually cut into a little medallion. So at the restaurant, we typically ask for the baseball seam side, just so we can make a nice pretty medallion. Now, if you notice, the grains are actually going in this direction. So what you want to do is you want to cut the steak this way. So one way, obviously, is, and you can see there is no seam here. One way is to actually trim a piece here and cut it diagonally or across the grain, and you're gonna have a nice big sirloin. So let me just kind of show you a small piece just so you can see what I'm talking about. Before you cut it, you always want to square it off just so you can have a nice flat area, and basically we'll cut a nice thick cut of a sirloin. So that's what you'll get, a sirloin piece, and that is often too big for restaurant service or even for you. Typically this is quite a lot of meat. This is weighs in about 14 ounces, I think, give or take. So what restaurants typically do is we try to bunch them up and cut right in the middle to give about 6 to 7 ounce portion. So I just showed you one way we can cut it, and we talked about the baseball seam. So as you may recognize right here, that's where the seam is. So we can actually try to cut along the seam, if we can, and then try to split the sirloin along the seam so we can actually try to portion it out amongst this two gigantic cut of a, split it where we can actually split these into 3 portions and make a baseball cut sirloin. So right here. Right here I found a little bit of a trimming that we need to do. Little surface fat won't be an issue. Back here. So at this moment, I could cut this and you can basically get a what looks like a strip loin. But again, at our restaurant, we use more of a tenderloin size of a strip loin. So what we'll do is we'll further trim that little sinew that, I don't know if you can see it. There is that sinew right here that is running vertically, and I'm going to trim that out, because if I don't, so at this point, what we'll do is we'll split this right into half and further trim the silver skin. All right, so cut these sirloins into a 3 big loin that I can actually cut perpendicular to make what looks like a tenderloin, since we do a center cut and a baseball seam cut sirloin at the restaurant. Now, that sinew that I was trying to dissect out from right side of the baseball cut, that was about here. Sometimes I get lucky and I can actually cut straight through. Sometimes I can't because it will go into it. Sometimes the sinew will dig into it. So now I have this much of a meat. What do? Easy. Just trim the sinew out and we'll be going into a stir fry. Or we can also ground it up and make a hamburger. So again, we want to have a very, very little waste out of each cut of the meat. You can see how I'm just kind of gliding along. very good example. Sinew is running vertically here, and then also horizontally here as well. So there's a sinews probably in a sort of the Mercedes symbol if I look at it from this way. So these cuts, I mean, you can play with it with a small knife and try to get the meat, but I just grill it out for our little staff lunch. But here, as you can see, a lot of it is a sinew. Some good meat that I can get for stir fry. But mostly very gristly cuts. As you can see, I try to butterfly that out, and then you get more sinews out. So these actually become more work than the rewards. So in that case, we actually pull it aside, we'll cook it through, or we'll grind it out. Right here, we got a nice little cuts that we can work with. And this was the big sirloin that I cut perpendicular early on. And stir fry pieces right here. So there you have it. Very simple way to trim a big hunk of a sirloin. Now, if you do go buy these sirloin from the supermarket or these warehouse clubhouses, you can get these relatively cheaper, because if you take a portion, and let me show you, if you go to a supermarket and if you get a center cut sirloin as this, it will cost you. Last time I checked, they were selling it at about $9 a pound minimum. Whereas if you get the whole thing, and you can actually trim this out in a relatively short time, and you can portion certain things for sirloin. You can wrap it with a bacon and cook it off. You can use the whole roast. You can truss a little butcher's twine, and you can roast the whole thing and slice it out like a little pot roast, or little roast beef. And you can utilize the chains to make a quick stir fry. Beef and broccoli actually comes to my mind right now. So there's a lot of good utilization by actually getting the whole meat or primal cut as this, and then trimming it yourself. So hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoy cooking. And if you got any question, please do leave a comment or a question on the. If you do have a question, please do leave it under the comment, and I'll try to reply back to you. But again, thank you for joining me. You have a great day.